Good morning to you, televiewers. We are continuing with our theme on talents and your impact on society. This morning, as we've already announced, we're talking about your talents and your work. We have all along defined talents as a special ability given to us by God, in which all we use that ability to function in the world. We use that ability for ourselves, for others, and for God. We're going to look at three other definitions of talent from the Cambridge Dictionary online. The talent has to do with a special ability to do some work, and it defines work then in the following lines. Work is to perform as intended or desired, or to cause something to do what it was intended to do. Second definition from the Cambridge Dictionary online on work says, that which is used to refer to skill or activity using a particular type of material. And a third definition of work from the Cambridge Dictionary online says work is an activity such as a job that a person uses physical or mental effort to do, usually for money. To work, therefore, according to these definitions, is to perform as God intended me to function. To do work, is to express what God put in me to express. When I express through mental or physical activity what I was meant to do, then I am working. When He looks at me, He has in mind, when God looks at me, He measures me by what He put in me. It's like somebody, the person who made a mobile phone. If that mobile phone is working, He intends that mobile phone to do this or to do that, to function this way or that way. If it begins to do some other thing, some other way, performing some other functions, this person comes back to ask what is wrong. So work, according to this dictionary, is to perform as a thing was intended to do. And since we are creatures of God, working for us means performing as God intended us to be. To work again is to use skill to accomplish something. So work is the use of skill for accomplishment. So underlying work is skill, is talent, it is know-how. To work is to use physical or mental effort to accomplish something. That effort, which is called work, comes from something physical the Lord has put in us, comes from something intellectual, something mental, which the Lord has put in us. And that physical ability, that mental ability, is again what we call talent. Work is to accomplish something which affords some income. In the definitions of work, which is the application of skill, there is obviously something to earn, something to get back home with from this application of our physical abilities, of our mental abilities, of our know-how in the way God made us to be. So we can say that my work is the expression of who I am, of what I am from inside. When I think of work, when I think of applying myself, I naturally should think of what is this application? What in me produces this kind of application? So work is intimately tied to whom I am from inside, to how I am built from inside. My work reveals what God has put in me, in the inside of me. My work flows from the wealth within, and talent is wealth within. Talent is ability within. So my work is an extension of myself. It is an expression of myself. It's an expression of the characteristics that are in me. And what characterizes me very peculiarly is what I call here my talent. So work is the application of talent. So when I think about my work, I think about my talent because the two go together. What I may do is determined by what I am inside, not by the job market. I am not to be determined by what is available out there. I am to be determined by what is available inside of me. If I develop that which is inside of me, I'm going to find my place out there. And if for some reason I don't find my place out there, my talent gives me the ability to create a place for me out there. Because when I become me, fully me, and I express myself well, fully well, I will certainly get recognition. I am going to create room for myself out there. Who I am and what I have been cut to do will help me see where to fit myself in the job market. And if the job market is so poor, it didn't think about the peculiarities that God put in me, then I'm going to create the need for myself in the world. And maybe some type of humor people are going to need. There's this Nigerian comedian who has been able to create humor out of sorrow, a pitiful situation. He's been able to transform it to make people laugh. It's very peculiar to me. So my talent will create room for me in the world. My talent is my work, and my talent helps me to become whom I am. My talent gives me my work. When God created the first man, Adam, the first thing God gave him was work. God told him that the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work and take care of it. That's Genesis 2:15. God produced man, created man, put abilities in man, and these abilities were to display themselves, were to show forth themselves in work. And the first thing Adam was to do was to show forth the talents and abilities in him in the garden. He was going to be working the garden, and he was going to be taking care of the garden. There was potential in him for working and for caring. He was to work the garden, to produce something out of that garden, to produce fruit out of that garden, to produce beauty out of that garden. And he had abilities to take care of the garden and to take care of what he had produced. Because we do not produce things to lose them. We do not produce things to have them get spoiled. And from that perspective of work, God told him, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and every living thing, creature that moves on the ground. His work was to be in the garden, and his work was to involve all of creation, and his work was to involve the entire world. That God has put potential in me, which I have to put to work, and this potential has to take me to the extremities of the earth. I am to work in such a way that my work starts from my locality, it influences the country, it influences the continent, and it influences the rest of the world. God has given capacities in every one of us to make worldwide impact. And he was to do these things. Why? Because the talents God had put in him were blessed, because God blessed them and gave them everything to do. So the first thing God gave man to do was work, because he had given him the potential. And then marriage only came as second, and marriage came because there was work to do, because God gave him a wife as a helper fit. He had work to do, he had talent to apply, he had gifts in himself to express, and this woman was coming to do what? To help him in the expression of himself. According to God, the woman came so that the man may blossom, may show forth himself, may show forth what the Creator had made out of him, what the Creator wanted him to become. So marriage is man and woman working together to blossom that which is in the man. And of course, when the woman comes to work, that which God has put in her also blossoms. God gives us work, and then God gives us partnership in marriage, and then we become a world figure. We leave worldwide impact. Now, the others who came after, the children of Adam and Eve, were also defined in terms of the abilities in them expressed through work. The Bible tells us in Genesis 4:2, now Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. These two children come out. One of them has talents as far as flocks are concerned, and the other has talents as far as the soil is concerned. The one who has talents as far as the soil is concerned, that is Cain, also becomes a builder, building out of the soil. In Genesis 4:17, the Bible tells us Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. So this guy could till the ground, and out of the ground he could make bricks, and from those bricks he could build a city. They became expressions of the capacities God had given them. From those capacities, God produced farms, and God produced cities. Cities are an expression of the ability God has put in Cain. About the other children of Abraham, the other descendants, in Genesis 4:21, we are told his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all who play the harp and flute. He was the father of all those who play the harp and flute. When these ones came up, they discovered that they had talent as far as melody was concerned and playing at some instrument. They found out that that is where God had gifted them, and they expressed themselves in it. And what happened? This guy became the father of all who play the harp and flute. The ability to play the harp and flute became their work. That is where they flowed. That is where they expressed themselves. That is where they worked. You also have Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Genesis 4:21. For him, his work had to be forging out things. When he came out, he forged tools and out of bronze and iron. He knew how to handle iron, how to handle bronze, and come out of it. When he set out to work, it was in bronze, it was in iron, and articles were produced. That's talent. That is work. Again, in Genesis 9:20, we are told Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. Noah's talent was in relation to the soil, and out of and applying himself to the soil, a plantation, a vineyard came out. Work is expression of talent, the expression of what God has put in me, and of course the rest of the world will benefit from that talent. My work is my talent. My talent is defines my work. My talent fits me where I should put in my energy, and my energy will produce something in that area. That is how it was at creation. That is how it is now. We'll take other examples. Genesis 25:27. The boys grew up and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob, who was a quiet man, staying amongst the tents. One brother was in the wild, hunting, fighting with the animals, catching them, giving food to the house, and every other thing. But the brother came out quiet, a man of the house, using his intelligence to live. Children come out so different. We come out so different. The fact that Jacob stays in the house doesn't make him any better than Esau. And the fact that Esau is out in the wild doesn't make him any better than Jacob. Each one of them just has to flow and work and produce in the direction of what God has put in them. Again, Genesis 5:22-24. We are told, and after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Verse 24, Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. This guy, Enoch, was born with a special capacity to relate to God. He could touch God and have communion with God in ways that the other people could not. For him, it's a talent, it's a gift, and he excelled in it. He didn't die. He flew to be with God. God transported him. So I want us to take note of the following. These people were doing what they were doing for the first time. Talent doesn't take me to school. Talent is inside of me. I may find ways to perfect it, but I don't learn talent from school. It's God-given, and I flow in it. Actually, I may become a teacher a teacher of it, having not been to school. They had no models. They only responded to the inside. Talent is responding to the inside and working at it, and it becomes my work. They were not graduates from any school. There were hardly any formal schools at the time. Talents are what you know how to do without going to school. Talents are what you can do without a diploma or certificate. Talents makes you a teacher of what you have never been taught, because talent is an expression of yourself. I don't have a problem with going to school. I have gone to school. But I think that whatever the general education we are doing, we should be able to find out who we are and develop it. There is this model of parenting which I found one of my brother friends doing, Bodanzoyum Nicholas. During holidays, when the children were not going to school, he made sure the children chose to do something with their hands. Some of them went to the garage, others went to whatever they chose in the direction of their talent. So general education went along with the development of their talent. And mind you, I find the children, they have grown to be very balanced and successful in life. And I tell myself that we parents ought to encourage children to go to school at the same time developing their talents, so that they are not in school 18, 19, 25 years begging for bread, begging for rent, begging for everything. Whereas if they were taught to develop their talents, if they were taught to develop who they are, to live out who they are, not biology, chemistry, mathematics, and things that may not be in them, they would be able to be balanced up and independent, successful, and be more fulfilled in life. So my work is my talent. My work is not my diploma. My work is my talent. My work is not my certificate. I have to live out who I am, become who I am as early as possible, and I'll be satisfying God, I'll be satisfying other people, I'll be satisfying myself. So the question is, who are you? And the thing to do with who you are is get to work. God bless you.